Greetings, friends. It is I once more, OmnusI, here in my lair to answer another question posed by the RPG Brigade for RPG A Day. Today is the 26th, and the question is, what is your gaming ambition for the next 12 months? Well, ambition is as ambition does, I suppose. As far as here, within my lair, well, I expect and certainly hope that my tabletop games, my campaigns, continue on apace. Both are cooking nicely, and neither one is close to being finished yet. I predict that the 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons game, set in the Princes of the Apocalypse storyline, will go on for about another year and 4 months, I'm predicting, at the rate they're going. I could be pleasantly surprised that it actually goes quicker. There's some content in there that I think is just filler that the party may just skip right by, so it may end quicker than that. But honestly, it's not my own work, so there's a part of me that's kind of eager to just kind of get through it. Although the ending and a lot of the stuff that leads up to the ending is quite good, so I can't wait to get the big reveals and such going. As far as the Warhammer 40k game, I predict that one will go for about a year. A lot of it will depend on the players and my perception on their fatigue. The game that they're playing in is designed to be kind of tough. They've skirted a lot of the tougher stuff already. Their approach has been completely different from what I was expecting, so I thought we would be a lot more, I am the law. And it's been a lot more of the good cop on the corner doing things for people and genuinely trying to make the place better. So, who knew? Especially since some of these players are ones who enjoy playing kind of dirty characters who are somewhat amoral, but these guys are quite moral, which is nice to see. But I predict generally about a year. About this time next year, I probably will be drawing that one to a close. I've just got too many other things to do, honestly. I'll never get through all the campaigns in my head in my lifetime, so I have to prioritize. And I have a story that I want to tell in both of them. So once the story is drawn to its conclusion, it will be time to go on to the next thing. But I think for the next 12 months, we're set there. I, of course, want to continue doing my mega dungeon at the local hobby shop. Every the first Wednesday of each month, I run a game for anybody who shows up. You can make a character on the spot. It takes about 5 minutes. Playing Swords and Wizardry Light. Characters have earned the right to advance up to Swords and Wizardry Continual Light, which plays up to 7th level, and has some alternate ideas for classes, but the game is very rules light and simple. It lets you play and do whatever you want to try to do, the game lets you do without having to be bogged down in lots of extra rules. And all you need is a 20-sided die and a 6-sided die and you're set. So I now have all kinds of fun 3D dungeon tiles and such, which I'll be posting my... if you go to my Lair of OmnusI channel, I did an unboxing for the Kickstarter that I backed on Dwarven Forge's Dungeon of Doom, and that's finally been completely resolved. I have all the pieces, and they're pretty. They're very pretty. I really am itching to lay out a 3D dungeon for my players to crawl through, and while it will be a lot more work, the payoff should be very good. I think it'll be very nice. But ultimately, those aren't ambitions. I could get to those by inertia, if nothing else. All the things are in place for those to happen. My players will belly up, accepting the odd misses. I really don't expect to see any changes or any real rocking of the boat there. So, aside from the unfortunate character death, I think those things will happen. However, one other thing, either of the campaigns that I'm running could end prematurely by total party wipe. If that happens, we will not continue those storylines. I did that once, changing up the group and with the 5th edition game, and it wouldn't be right in the situation the group is in the Warhammer 40,000 game to just insert new characters. I'm not going to do it. If either of those ends, that's the end of that story. So we can hopefully get to a good ending, but if it ends early, well, then I'll have something else to do. But those aren't my ambitions. My real ambitions are to get the works that I have been working on for some time out where other people can see and enjoy them. I've got 5 projects going on right now, which this isn't including the fiction that I'm writing and such, which is coming on apace. Do that in my free time just to relax. But the 5 things that I'm working on right now. Number 1, the Traveling Hat Club role-playing game for children and the young at heart. Very, very rules light, very simple, very easy to use. All you need are 10 pennies and you can play a full role-playing game. Just a little paper, pencil, 10 pennies. You can play my game. Which is a full-feature role-playing game. You can make any kind of character you want and tell any kind of story with your friends. If you want to get into some of the pageantry of using the props and things, it's called the Traveling Hat Club because your roles for your characters are tied into some sort of a prop. My case, as I love them, hats. So you would have a hat for each role. And an interesting thing is, if you want to try a different role, you just change hats and you take on the cast of that character. It's actually a game mechanic. If your character faints because you got knocked out in a combat challenge, all you have to do is swap characters with someone else if you want to, and you can get right back into the game, and the character that faints gets up in the role of another player. And they can try something different. So that it's a good game. I think it's got a lot of potential. It'll be a lot of fun. I'm going to be running it for the first time for other people outside of my little group at GameholeCon this year. Haven't signed up the event yet, but I will be doing that shortly. And I think it'll be a lot of fun. I just have to finish scripting out the rules and doing layouts, getting some art. I will probably be putting it out on DriveThruRPG, an online site that you can download role-playing games. It'll probably be a pay-what-you-will. I don't expect to make a lot of money out of it. I just want other people to have fun with my game. And also, Dice File, my personal role-playing game for adults, it's a little more sophisticated, is actually the next iteration of the Traveling Hat Club. The Traveling Hat Club was basically proof of concept that my Dice File game is going to lean on. More mechanics, yes, more things required, generally a lot of dice. For people who have large collections of dice, this will be your game. But again, very universal, very easy flow, easy to use, very visual. I'm very proud of it, but it has been brewing for a long time, and I need to make some more progress with it. That's on the back burner, though, because I also have 3 other projects. I have the Alchemical Codex. I always thought alchemy was very cool, and despite the fact that it's an intellectual dead end in our world, in a world of magic where people can rewrite the rules of physics and reality with a spell, a couple of words, and the right gestures, it's not unreasonable to think that alchemy could exist in a magical world, that the right mixture of things and magical ingredients could actually cause changes in states of matter, some of the other wonders that alchemy was attempting to do on Earth. So, I also believe that in most fantasy worlds, alchemy fills an important niche. It takes care of a lot of the busy work that otherwise wizards and priests are stuck doing, like cranking out potions. What wizard who is, again, working on, mastering, reality and such, wants to spend a great deal of time cranking out potions for their friends, or for pay even more? Alchemy is a great way of having people who are gainfully employed making all those miscellaneous magical things that otherwise you're going to rely on spellcasters and such. So if you wonder why, for example, the world has so many magical +1 swords in a Dungeons & Dragons game, Number one, the hard answer is because it's got the widest possibility band in the treasure tables. The other answer could be because that is something that alchemists can make. They can create concoctions that can change the metal and make a magical weapon for you. It takes, for more powerful ones, it takes a spellcaster to do it, but for low-level stuff, that's why there's so many +1 swords, because alchemists can make those with a good swordsman. And then I've got monsters that are alchemy-based. I've got a class that's alchemy-based that's right now for Swords and Wizardry in 5th edition. And a huge amount of different alchemical items and components and ingredients. The alchemy class is based on creating concoctions, which are quick-hitting effects that are done by grinding up and mixing things and quickly just whisking them out. So its companion pieces are the Tinkerer's Notebook, which is, again, using artificing and invention in a fantasy world. And all the ways that magic could change things to the point where allowing really crazy contraptions to exist in a world that's even to some extent pre-steampunk, or a world of steam, certainly. The final one is the Naturalist Guidebook, which again takes a magical world and adds another way of looking at a potential profession within the greater setting of adventures and things. The Naturalist is part herbalist, part conjurer, because they can do things with plants. They have plant creatures that they can summon and such. My goal is, of course, to make them a little bit more interesting and engaging than, say, a druid who only works on plants. So that's the last one of the three, but I have hope for all three of them. The alchemy one will be first, but I do hope to have those out in 12 months and also on some sort of self-publishing, drive-through RPG, or we'll see how it goes. But those are my ambitions. It would certainly be nice to have something with my name attached to it out in people's hands. So, outside of these videos that you're consuming right now. So, but got a lot of work to do, and I am not idle. I am OmnusI, as always, your game master, and thank you once more for joining me here in my lair. I hope that you will join me for future questions and other projects that we've got cooking up. If you haven't yet on YouTube, feel free to subscribe, hit the notifications so you can see when I make new videos, which will be through the rest of this month, and share with your friends if you know anybody else who could use a little bit of advice from a guy who's got a little too much gray in his beard and a battered old hat. We'll have some fun together here in the Lair of OmnusI. Farewell.